11 years ago, America lost a war hero, but Chris Kyle was much more than a decorated Navy SEAL. He was also a husband to Taya and father to their 2 children.
Taya Kyle is a New York Times best-selling author and the widow of American sniper Chris Kyle, who served 4 tours of duty as a Navy SEAL. Ultimately, Chris lost his life at a shooting range by a man he was trying to help. Since his death, Taya has worked hard to honor her late husband by providing help and hope to those enduring pain and loss. She does so through speaking engagements, writing, and creating her foundation, Taya and Chris Kyle Family, Service Marriage Strong. In her first ever children's book, Prayers for Bears, Taya Kyle teaches kids the importance of gratitude in every season of life.
Well, Taya Kyle is here with us now. We welcome you back to the program. It's been a while since we've seen you.
Yes, thank you. It's good to be here.
Your latest, Prayers for Bears, written by you, it's a great book. It's a children's book, obviously, but what brought you to this place of writing a children's book?
You know, there was so much when I looked at my kids. They're so resilient and strong, and I've seen how God has worked through their lives. Chris's murder, and then everything after that, there were so many things that hit us. And one of the main things after he was first killed was a friend telling me, you'll always have a roof over your head and food to eat. And I thought, well, I don't know if we can afford our house. I mean, I don't know anything at this point. And she said, no, Taya, there are people who love you. You'll always have a roof over your head and food to eat. So even when things were going awry, our prayers have included that. I mean, there are things we have that other people don't that we could easily take for granted.
Well, and that's really what the book is about. It's a story of having a grateful heart. And so you remember these words that a friend shared with you, but now you're left as a mom with 2 children. And how do you, under such adverse circumstances, create that heart of gratitude in them? How did you do that?
Well, you know, I mean, definitely credit to God. And I think He showed me every time that things would go horribly wrong. We had these incredible blessings too. And then He would do something beautiful with the pain, which you know, before you experience it, you think in theory He will, but when you experience it, you know it.
It's real.
And so the thing I really had to learn that I want to encourage other people, I used to say, well, this is bad, but, and I had a great therapist who told me, no, Taya, this is bad and this is good. Because otherwise you start to negate your pain.
Yes.
And you can't do that. And that's part of this story about Bailey Bear. Things are the truth. They are not going well.
Yes.
And there are things to be grateful for. And we know science backs it up. That's why God tells us in the Bible to be grateful. Joy is a wonderful tool against the enemy.
Yeah.
So feel your pain. I realize that's important. I used to try to outrun it, but we have to feel it.
Yes.
And you see what you look for. Look for the gratitude even when you have pain.
So you use this term. How do you pray when you don't have anything to say?
That is such a good question. I have literally some of the most life-changing prayers for me. There was one time I remember sitting in a chair and feeling so exhausted and not knowing even what to pray for. And I just put my hands out like this and I leaned my head back and I said, God, I don't know. Just change me. Just whatever it is I need to pray for, just do the work. And He literally within the week, something that I knew was kind of an issue for me shifted. I wouldn't have prayed for it because it wasn't that big of an issue. And so those times where I've just been completely submissive, it's yours, just do your work in me. And the same with life. You know, we get so busy and you're ambitious and successful, yes.
You know,
And when I'd hit my head against the wall on something over and over, I learned to just go, then it's not now. It doesn't mean it's never. It means it's not now, right?
Now. Yes.
And God would do the work and open the door later.
Yeah.
And if I wasn't so overwhelmed, I think I would have kept trying and hitting my head against a wall. But I was too overwhelmed to do that.
And it's so wonderful because in hindsight, when you look back, you can see that you weren't ready for it to change beforehand.
That's right.
But His timing is always perfect. I can tell your faith has just been so anchored and has grown through all of this. Talk about that.
You know, I sometimes think back to who I was before. The core of me, my sense of humor, my heart are the same. My faith has changed me. I don't think people who knew me as a teenager would recognize or believe maybe even, you know, my faith today. And I do see that as God working through the pain and bringing something beautiful. And again, I would have known that in theory, but to experience such a transformation inside of me where I don't fear anymore. And it's
Boy,
like
that's a huge thing in life.
It is huge, because what do you know, we can't bear all the things that we could be afraid of, especially social media and all of the things that they'll tell us now could hurt us and harm us, and they probably could. But they're not, I don't have to worry about that, because now I just go, I really believe and know from experience that God will point me in the right direction, take care of me for my needs, just as he will someone else's, and we have different needs.
You know, one of the directions God's pointing you and your children in is coming alongside of military families and encouraging them. And it was a shocking stat that of the Navy SEALs, 97% of their marriages fail.
Yeah.
How do we change that, Taya? Good grief. That's an alarming statistic.
It is, and I don't think it's quite as bad now, but when we were in, that was the statistic in enlisted guys. And so what I realized living it is, we just didn't have the tools. We would have done anything, but civilian marriages are different. Civilian counselors can't help with the military world as well as they want to. We have something we're working on with that to teach them too, but the truth is they need the right tools. So at TACF, we do 2 years of programming, 5 programs, and we work from strengths. You got warriors, you need to talk to them about using their strengths in their marriage and do it in ways that are realistic. They don't have 6 o'clock dinner every night. So how do you get those times when you could communicate quickly from a place of strengths? And Baylor University studies our programs, 99.16% success rate over the last few years. Yes, of couples who come out dramatically better. And then the other statistic I want to share with you is the Army did a study. 80% of service suicides are relationship related, not because of anything the two people in the relationship are doing. It's because the service member doesn't have the tools to save the one last thing that they really want as their safety net. And if they don't have the tools while they're suffering, while they're going through trauma, and their wife wouldn't have them, or they don't know how to tell their wife what they need, you know, assuming it's the man. I know sometimes it's the woman. We're just giving them the tools.
That is awesome. You know, you're here in town actually for a special event. I want to mention it as our time is up here, but you can get information on what is called the Resilience in Today's World Conference. It is being, you can go to cbn.com/helping the Homefront. That's who's supporting all of this. Don't forget Taya Kyle's brand new children's book. It is called Prayers for Bears. Your kids will love it, and so will you. It's available nationwide. Thank you for what you're doing. Talk about making a difference. You're there.